Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
I am back from travels, folks. I was in Washington, D.C. doing some work on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what I would call the anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm against diversity, equity, equality, inclusion, whatever you're saying. What it means is I'm pushing back on the idea that we aren't already there. Kevin Jackson's here, listening to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, part of the Kevin Jackson Network. For you newbies out there, and we're entering some new markets, and we'll be making an announcement on when it's official, the network that we're joining, which I think is going to be a really big deal for us. The impact will be felt in about a year or so, but we're going to spread very quickly. I'm going to give you an idea. I think that we will pick up 30 to 50 weekend markets within 6 months, and we will pick up somewhere between 5 to 10 daily markets within the next 12 months. And after that, if we survive long enough, I think that we will be in 100 radio markets within the next 18 months. So for you guys that are out there supporting our efforts and keeping us alive, I can't thank you enough. And it is an absolute struggle to do it, but I believe there's a reason. And we have a joke here that says Rush is back and he's black. And don't be surprised if we're in 500 radio markets and the biggest thing going in the next 24 months. And just so you know, we're not planning it, because we know the saying around. Everybody knows the saying here in my little community, which is man plans, God laughs. So this isn't a plan. This is just me saying, I think we've been hanging in there long enough. And God's like, you know what, Kev, I took my eye off the ball for a second with you. That's not true. God never lets you down. He never takes his eye off the ball. Anyway, glad you guys are with me. I was traveling, and we did a series of shows and that's where I've been doing 5 different, I'm going to call them segments, that I'm doing with a think tank called the Goldwater Institute. I think they'll start airing in November. And I got to tell you, these are some very interesting segments. And the reason is these people on the other side are super interesting. And all I got to do is sort of drag it out of them. And it's been such a learning experience for me. And I'll tell you, I am so happy that I know media. You know, we got these film crews set up. There's 5, 6 people around, lights, and the only thing missing is makeup. But then again, I don't need it. But they got all these people around, and we're talking about subjects, and these guys are so smart. But I get to make them even smarter, because I'll go, well, what about this? And then they dig a little deeper, and I go, well, what about this? And they dig a little deeper. And then I even throw them a curve. What about that? And they go even deeper. And you go, wow, man, this is, so I think you're going to like them. And we are behind in a lot of stuff to get published. But if you are members of the Backstage Club and you're having issues getting in, there's a couple of people that have. Chris will get you in, get you poking around. And I'm going to start posting even more stuff. I'm trying to let you get caught up, because there's a lot of stuff in there. So anyway, I'll let you know when those segments air, and we'll go from there. So there's lots to discuss, and I want to let you in on a conversation that I had while I was in D.C., and he's with a black Republican friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name, not because we're embarrassed about the conversation. I just don't like using actual names sometimes. But this guy's been around forever. He worked in the Bush administration. He's been part of public policy for mainly crafting how Republicans should run against blacks. I mean, to secure the black vote. And he was very instrumental in helping DeSantis back when he was running for governor the first time against that weirdo Gresham, or whatever his name was. And so he's been around. And when I'm in town, I'll usually give him a call and grab lunch or whatever. This particular day, we were trying to figure out if we could get other people to come do more interviews. So I called him to see if he had any recommendations, and we started talking. And immediately, he's an inside the beltway guy, and he says, hey, man, you need to let Donald Trump know this. And he goes on to explain how black people, black Republicans, are getting upset about Donald Trump only talking about rap culture and hanging around with the rappers. And he said that many blacks that are in his circles, he had just had a big event. He says, Kevin, I had 3 billionaires in there. I had black business leaders that were saying, when is Trump going to sit down and talk to us about business? Why is he catering to the thug community, etc.? And I listened, I heard him out because, as I said, this guy, he's been around a long time and he knows what he's talking about. And I said to him, okay, well, I'm going to let you believe that for a bit, but I said, I disagree with you. And you could tell he was almost taken aback because he considers himself like a mentor to me in politics. I said, I got to disagree with you. I said, Donald Trump talking to the rap crowd, if you will, is Donald Trump reaching into the gut of black America. And I said, look, I don't like thug culture. I don't like some of the culture. That doesn't matter. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And there are people who do like it. And I said, I wouldn't cater to the thug element of the black community because I know that there are many blacks who think as I do. We're sophisticates. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I'll get street level on you if you want me to. I'll put it this way. We have a saying in the black community, don't make me go inwardish. Okay, do you know what I'm saying? And we clean it up sometimes and say, man, I'll go jungle on you in a minute, because I will. I absolutely will. I've lost my tolerance for people who want to try to make me look stupid or, try to shout me down. I have zero tolerance. If you want to get in my face, I'm going to rise up and get in your face, and we're going to be like, two big old animals trying to duke it out. But I know who's going to win in the end because I'm not backing down an inch. Anyway, we're talking about this, and I told him, you got to get away from this. I said, you've been inside the beltway too long. You're dealing with too many black sophisticates. And I'm going to finish this in the next segment because we're going to I'm running out of time here. But here's what I will tell you. Donald Trump is not going to lose the black business vote. They're not going to vote for Kamala Harris. We'll be back. Keep it in.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
And it didn't cost us a dime.
There is turmoil all around us, folks, and it has one source, one epicenter: leftism. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in America have created an unsafe world. And those who must navigate it daily are getting fed up. Let me give you a quick synopsis of the news, because we're going to get into this period, even though I'm talking about the black vote. And this is an important conversation that I had with an inside the Beltway black conservative friend of mine who is a power broker. And we were having a conversation and I disagreed with him. And we're good friends. So, we could talk about anything. That's the good thing about being a conservative. We can disagree. And I'll get to the outcome of that. But let me just give you a few things that are in the news. Biden was campaigning with Harris. How do you think that went? I mean, they spoke in front of dozens. In Pennsylvania, battleground state, where Kamala Harris is changing her accents and also changing her policies because now she's for fracking. What the frick? She's for frickin' fracking. What about all the crime that's going on due to illegals? Because the Democrats told you illegals don't commit any crimes. They're cost positive to the economy. Let them in. Brazil, a communist country, bans X. Why? Because they don't want free speech. What did America do? America banned your free speech on X. It banned your free speech on Facebook. That's what it did. On Twitter, I should say, because it didn't ban it on X. X is after Elon Musk bought them. What about this American hostage that was killed by Hamas? And yet we still got people protesting here. People being paid to protest and act like they give a crap about Palestine or Hamas. People being paid to protest on behalf of terrorists in the wake of us finding out that an American citizen got killed by Hamas. What about Biden's war with Russia? You heard the new developments there? You think Ukraine's winning? Hey, surprise around Biden's approval ratings. We'll get to that. You want to know the strangest thing about the news cycle? Hunter Biden ain't in it. Welcome, folks. Kevin Jackson's here. You're listening to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, part of the KevinJacksonNetwork.com. Hey, we're very close to taking the FlickFest public. I talked to my CPA. Well, he tried to catch me at the airport the other day, but I talked to him, and he said, well, paperwork's been refiled with the SEC. And I don't know if you've seen it, but Angel Studios we're doing the same thing as Angel Studios. They did their they're doing what's called a Reg A plus, where they're raising $10 million. We're raising $5 million. And those of you who've been asking, the minimum you can invest for us is going to be $100. But that's what we're looking to get started. It's going to kick off a whole new revolution. And I'm very proud of Angel Studios for doing theirs, even though they're in the midst of some lawsuits. The FlickFest is not being sued, knock on wood, and we won't be. And we've got a bit of a leg up on them in some ways in Angel Studios. But here's what I'm getting at. I wish them nothing but success because they're making a different type of movie. And, and they're focused on theirs. We're focused on ours, but we're challenging the culture. And it's finally happening. Conservatives doing something. So I'm going to make an announcement. I will go on a massive media tour on this. You're going to get bombarded with ads about the FlickFest and the movies we're making and stuff like that. And I hope you're a part of it. I want you to be investors in it. So you'll get more on that. But congratulations to Angel. I think they've almost hit their Reg A target. We're doing what's called a Reg CF. And we'll do a Reg A next year. Anyway, I've given you some things to think about in terms of what's in the news cycle. And you know what else we haven't talked about? I played some clips the other day of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and he was talking about the war in Ukraine and how that war, why we're fighting that stupid war. He talked about vaccines and the rise of autism and stuff like that. What are we learning about Fauci getting involved with the CIA and COVID and the cover-ups? What are we learning about the crooked nature of the people that are targeting Donald Trump and them still trying to keep him out of office? Everything they can do. You want to know what's not in the news cycle? The assassination attempt of Donald Trump in Pennsylvania as Kamala Harris campaigns there in front of dozens, I remind you. We're not even talking about an attempted assassination on the life of the man that could very well save this republic. But we are talking about this, and I was talking about it with my friend in D.C., and we're talking about the black vote. And he says to me, Kevin, I feel like it's an insult when Donald Trump meets with all these rappers and he's talking about them. And I said, let me tell you something. Donald Trump is playing to the base level black voter, the person that nobody in the Republican Party has been able to get to. Not Ronald Reagan, not George Bush, and anybody else. We've ceded the black vote to the Democrats, and black people say all the time, when are you going to come speak to me? They're not talking about the business people. They're not talking about the entrepreneurs. Those people know who to vote for. You think you got to convince some guy that runs a business that Kamala Harris is not the person for he or she to vote for? Are you kidding? No. We got to get to is that person that's trying to raise that child by herself. That dude who wants to see his baby and wants a better job, right? The people that are doing the day-to-day, the people that are going through the gauntlet of their own neighborhoods and their own cultural systems, if you will, just to get home safe. These are the people that are starting to strike back. And my buddy's like, well, Trump shouldn't be talking to these rappers. And I'm like, who are they talking to? A rapper or some social media influencer that doesn't sound like he's been schooled at Yale is who's going to get into the black community. And nobody, period, has penetrated the black community. By the way, this is true of almost every politician, probably with the exception of Bill Clinton. Nobody has dug this deep into the black psyche. And people want to complain. I'm telling him, what are you talking about? So he says to me, Kevin, I had this event. I had 3 billionaires. I had all these black business moguls. And they want to know, when is Trump going to sit down with him? Trump doesn't need to sit down with him. His policies sit down with him every single day. They flourished under Trump. Do you think that Trump wouldn't give him a seat at the table? So I don't know whether he was asking me to get them in front of Trump, but I'm like, look, I'll be happy to broker meetings with black business people to get him in front of Trump. But Trump's got a different thing to do right now. He's got to get that black low-level, low-information voters screaming Donald Trump, and that's what he's been able to do. Here's an example of a guy in Philadelphia. And again, this is not a guy that's trying to run a company. He's a dude trying to get by, and here's what he had to say.
It don't matter about whether you like him or not. It matters about his policies, and people's not doing good out here with the Democrats. And I feel like this year it's time to make a statement with Trump.
Music to my ears, the last part of what that young black gentleman said. This year is time to make a statement with Trump. I told you guys, the Democrats know they can no longer win the black vote. That's why they imported 20 million fraudulent votes so they could manipulate. They don't care if those people vote that come over. Get registered. We'll handle the rest. That's what the Democrats are saying. And they are telling black folks, your vote isn't going to matter. We're going to cheat our way in whether you vote with us or not, because Donald Trump will absolutely get a minimum of 30% of the black vote.
It's Kevin Jackson Radio. He's black.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
It has to end here.
Actually, it's just gotten started. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I asked a question a while back about Joe Biden campaigning with Harris, and when would he start effectively doing this? And it only took, a few weeks? After he rested up on the beach for, a few weeks? Kevin Jackson's who you're listening to, the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, part of the Kevin Jackson Network. 844-551-8255. I give that number out because I want to hear from you. I'm going to do it again. 844-551-8255. Give us a ring. Love to hear from you. Here's what I said. I said the Harris campaign will do some symbolic events with Joe Biden, just enough so they can say he endorses us. It's a good thing. Everybody's happy. We're all shaking hands and loving on each other. Kumbaya. But that's it. After that, Joe gets put on the shelf and he can ride off into the sunset. And he better hope that he can ride off pretty easily. That, in other words, stay out of the way. Speaking of which, if Donald Trump gets elected, he made a comment that Donald Trump said, I could have prosecuted Hillary Clinton for the stuff that he did, but I didn't do it. I wasn't vindictive. Now, I don't think he's saying it in order to rationalize, or talk about like the rumor that he's going to come in and beat everybody up, which he'd have every right to. But I think he's just saying, these people will do this. They will go after you. Look at what they're doing to me. And he's 100% right. Anyway, Joe Biden's back. He's fresh on the campaign. And you know how I know? Because here's what he said.
We can no longer be the manufacturing capital of the world. Where the hell is that written? We are the greatest manufacturing city, county in the world, state in the world, city in the world. We're going to remain that way.
There you go, Joe. Get it out. So he's on the campaign trail. And look, you tell me, is this going to help Kamala Harris? I don't know if you could hear the clapping in the background. It literally sounds like they're in a 400 square foot hall with about 20 people present. You only see one angle, so you don't know what's happening. But here's what I'll tell you. You got the sitting president and vice president of the United States in a location where they won't show you an audience shot. It sounds like there's no more than dozens of people there. And these are supposed to be the people that are turning politics on its edge. Kamala Harris, the most important person in the world now. She's raising more money. They said she put $25 million down ticket. Somebody said she will raise $500 million between now and the election time. As if she's the one doing it. They really want to sell this. But anyway, let me get back to Joe Biden.
By the way, remember all the talk, Biden got elected and he's going to do a planned economy. We're going to collapse and there's going to be all this caving in. Interest rates are going to go through the ceiling. Come on, man.
I almost feel like that's AI generated. Joe Biden doesn't realize that everything he just said happened. The economy has collapsed. He doesn't want to admit it. Leftists want us to ignore it, but it has collapsed. I assure you, the economy has collapsed. I was with an Uber driver. I love talking to Uber drivers. I do. I got to tell you, they give you such insight. So I'm with this one. He's from, the last one I was with was from Haiti. And we just had a conversation in French. It was a shared ride with a lady who was from India. Anyway, but the one before that, the guy told me, he says, Kevin, I'm going back to Africa. I said, what? He goes, yeah, man. He goes, I'm saving up. He goes, I can buy a home. He goes, I'm building a home right now in Africa that's 10,000 square feet. And he says, what do you think that home's going to cost me? I go, I have no clue. He goes, $200,000. And he goes, it's set off in the woods. He goes, they don't do acres there. They do hectares. And he said, I said, how many hectares? And he told me it was a pretty nice piece of land. He says, there's one way in and one way out. He goes, I'm going to get my dogs. He knows the kind of dogs he's going to have to protect his little compound. And he says, I've saved up enough money. I'm going to finish building that house. He goes, I sent $40,000. He goes, they foundations up and all this. And he goes, what would that cost here? And I was in D.C. And I said, you couldn't build that house. You couldn't build the garage here. And he starts laughing. But he says, I'm going back. He goes, and they will bury me on that land. And I was thinking to myself, man, and he's telling me about the state of America. The people that are coming here looking at us objectively, they know what's going on. They see it. There's an Asian lady. She was talking about, she's from North Korea. She says, people don't realize the same conversations that they had in North Korea when I was a kid are being had right now. That's what's being taught to children right now in this country. Why do you think I was in D.C. talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion from a conservative point of view and essentially undoing this stuff? I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I got called by a group that said, Kevin, we know about your management consulting experience. Will you have a meeting with us? Because we want to do anti-DEI in these various companies. And we had a meeting, and I'm not lying. The guy sent me a note. He says, man, I don't know that I've ever been on a call where somebody had so much insight. And I said, that's because I've been dealing with this for decades. I saw this coming as a management consultant when HR departments went to people departments. And I went, what do you mean? It's human resources. And no, it's people. And then they started segmenting all the different HR people, LGBT, black, this. Now, I told you guys this story. I got asked when I was first coming out of engineering school. I shouldn't say that. Coming out of college with my engineering degree, which I did come out of engineering school at SMU. And I got interviewed, and they said, do you want to be part of the black engineers group that's here at this large company that I worked at? And I said, no. I'm an engineer. I'm not a black engineer. I'm an engineer. I don't think that my degree didn't say, Kevin, you got a black engineering degree. So I go, no. And the lady was blown away. And I said, look, I'm an engineer. I'm going to design at this point, work on supercomputers. That's it. I don't care what anybody else does. This is what I do. And if I was curious as to how many of us were there. Was it going to be a group of 2? Holy crap. There weren't that many black folks working on, what I was working on at the time. Heck, let me think. In my group, we had Haroon, who was from MIT. And, we had a black tech. His name was Dennis. But that was it. So how many of us is there going to be? Kevin, would you like to be in the black engineers group here? Okay, you're it. I should have said, yeah, is there money involved? Do I get a raise? Yeah, you're the only one. You start your own group. It was so stupid. But she was blown away that I was like, no, I don't have time for that kind of nonsense. I'm here to do my job. But I saw it. Folks, this is 40 years ago. And more than that, actually. And all I wanted to do was do my job. And they were asking me this question. And then when I got into management consulting, oh my goodness, I saw it coming. I was doing it. I was a management consultant since the late 90s. And I saw it early on. So here's where we are. Anyway, Joe Biden, too stupid to realize the interest rates. Oh, they said the interest rates are going to go. Yeah, the interest rates are up, Joe. We've got a comparison chart here. Let me pull it up. Take me a second. But no, it's okay. I got it. So here's where under Trump, mortgage rates were 2.77%. Mortgage rates right now, 7.75% under Harris. Personal savings were up 385% under Donald Trump. They're down 73%. Let me ask you this question. Do you know somebody who's gone through their savings? Well, you can answer yes because you're listening to him. I've gone through my savings under the Harris-Biden administration. Here's the next one. Credit card delinquency was down 11%. It is up 50% under Kamala Harris. Real weekly wages were up 8.2% under Donald Trump. They are down 3.9% under Harris and Biden. And they want to spike the football. These people want you to believe this economy. Ooh, look at what we gave you. And Biden even admitted that 10 million jobs that he's taking credit for were previous Trump jobs that were taken away by COVID. So he still throws out this 16 million. Joe Biden, if you want to give him credit, created 6 million jobs. That is so woefully underperforming as a president. It's ridiculous. And this, with them pumping money into the economy, printing, quantitative easing, giving money to all these special interests, feeding the war machine, feeding the pharmaceutical industry, all who are equally crooked. And don't even get me going when we start talking about Fauci working with the CIA and this lie, this massive lie they told over COVID on all sides of that issue. Siding with the Chinese. Why? Because they needed to get rid of Donald Trump. They were willing to kill Americans to get rid of Donald Trump. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Con Kevino Jacksones.
He even called for termination of the United States Supreme, the supreme land of our nation, the United States Constitution.
That was Kamala Harris at one of her big, massive rallies, talking about Donald Trump. Called for the supreme of the land, the Constitution. Well, you know the thing. And what about that accent? He even called for the, girl, what y'all talking about over there? Ooh. Kamala Harris, man, this woman will say or do anything to get ahead. And look, I'm going to tell you something. I've already given you the numbers. Elon Musk did a poll, 73% Donald Trump, 27% Harris. Mark Cuban decided he would do one, 69% Donald Trump, 31% Harris. Those are the real numbers. Democrats have a job to do because they gotta make everybody believe that Kamala Harris is, everybody wants her. The problem is they don't have black folks screaming her name. Rappers aren't screaming for Kamala Harris. But I just told you earlier, one of my friends, he was talking to Kevin, why all these rappers talking about Donald Trump? What do you mean? This is a political heavyweight upset. Man, that's an insult to black people. No, it's not. You know what? If Donald Trump can reach black folks and give them sanity so they stop doing the crap to vote for Democrats, how do you think we're going to change that culture? This is the first man that is able to reach into that culture and make it wake up and go, what did Trump say years ago? What do you got to lose? Glad you guys are with me. Kevin Jackson's here listening to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, part of the Kevin Jackson Network. We got people who are scared to death because of the crime that's going on in these cities. And the Kamala Harris is on a joy campaign.
So what's going on with this, like, gang thing? Because, like, literally I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm a mom. Some of my friends are moms too. And it's gotten so bad to the point we don't even want to take our kids to the park without being in a group. And even in a group, we have to make sure that someone has a taser. We have some type of, like, pepper spray. We have to have some type of protection. Me, I don't mess with guns. That's just personally me, because guns, they scare me. So it's just like, I don't know. We need to figure out something, because, like, I'm not gonna lie, this is terrifying. And I understand they're coming here for a better life, but at the same time, is this life getting any better when you're bringing what was there here? I don't know. We need to figure something out, because literally me and my son are too scared to even go to a playground.
That lady was from Aurora, Colorado, where a Venezuelan gang took over an apartment complex. Well, guess what happened in Chicago?
Unit 10-3, I'm citywide person with a gun, 6124 South King Drive. Caller says 32 Venezuelans are trespassing the building, showing guns in the courtyard, and they have motorcycles in the courtyard as well. All walls are filled. Nothing further is unclear.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You headed over to the ShotSpotter or to the 6124 in King for the migrants?
On King Drive.
All right, 10-4. There's another available unit to arrive at 310. We had multiple calls. First with the gun, 6124 South King. Also came over to disturbance large gathering. Could be 32 Venezuelans trespassing in the building property, showing guns in the courtyard. They have motorcycles in the courtway, all stairwells filled, and nothing further.
As you think about the vote coming up, I want you to think about everything that's going on in this country and around the world, and asking yourself, do you think that this United States of America, an average citizen, wants to turn this country over to Kamala Harris? Or you think they want to turn this country over to Donald Trump? I gave you the numbers. 73-27 or 69-31. Take your pick. But solidly, 7-3, people want Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. I don't care what the media is telling you. All the media is doing is they're hyping because they need to make you think it's close. That's the only way they can cheat. How can they beat Donald Trump if you know that the real numbers are 70-30? And all you got to do, talk to your average black person. Talk to your average Latino. Talk to your average woman that isn't drunk on the idea that she wants to kill her next baby. Because, see, I'm going to make you a bet. I bet that while women talk about the right to choose and the majority of them don't care about that as their driving issue. Women aren't waking up in the morning going, ooh, should I get that abortion today? Or am I going to be able to play with the kids or go get a job or take care of my family or feel safe, et cetera, et cetera? Where's the toxic masculinity coming from these days? Is it from American men, or is it this statistic that I got that cops estimate up to 75% of the Manhattan crimes are being committed by illegals? See, I think I know what I'm talking about because I'm looking at the gut of America, the gut feel, the pulse. And this is what I'm sensing. And it's not me living in my little bubble in a suburb of Arizona. This is getting out, going to the most dangerous street in Chicago, meeting with pastors and talking about these issues, going to D.C. And you know what they told me in this nice area of D.C., we're staying at this Airbnb. And one of the warnings was, it ain't as safe as it looks. My head was on a swivel. It always is everywhere I go. And it's funny to watch people who notice you when you carry yourself in a way that's confident and you're observing your surroundings, your environs. They watch you differently. I can't describe it, but if you were with me, you'd know what I'm talking about. Melissa knows it. She sees me watch everything around us. It gives her a pretty good feeling of safety, I'll tell you that. Anyway, let's get back to the matter at hand. Do people feel safe? Here's what the police said in a sanctuary city when they are being confronted with a group of citizens saying, why aren't you arresting this guy that we told you is committing a crime?
He went to...
Okay, hold on. Let's back up a little bit. First off, we're a sanctuary city. Even if he is legal here, we cannot call ICE.
Okay, but you still have to report that, right?
No, we don't. Because it's a sanctuary city. We do not report illegal undocumented.
So you're going to let a person who went to prison, he committed a crime in America, who's illegal right now, you're going to let him go free right now to this elevator?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because we're a sanctuary city. I've arrested a double homicide suspect in this city before and let him walk out the door because we're a sanctuary city. We're not going to call ICE to come pick him up and deport him.
He came to pick up $320,000 from your, him, or mine grandmother and grandfather, and he's walking away freely right now, right? That's what I'm understanding right now.
I understand that, but you're asking me to call ICE or the...
I'm not asking you to call ICE. We're just asking you to take seriously that he's trying to repeat offend when he's already illegal.
I don't know if you caught that, but he says, we won't even report this crime. So you want to know how Joe Biden says crime has gone down? They don't report the crime of illegals. And worse than that, if they do catch an illegal doing a crime, they release them. So they don't report them, they release them. And this guy says, I had to release a guy who had committed a double murder. Now, you want to tell me your Fourth Amendment rights are okay? Because if you committed a double murder, you're going to prison. Do you understand how silly this is? How crazy the world has become? And let me tell you something. The citizens of Aurora, Colorado, and that are surrounding Colorado, that are watching this happen, the citizens that are watching these Venezuelan gangs take over complexes, this is the voter that normally says, I want to vote for a Democrat. What do you think they're going to do now? The police are telling you, we don't do anything to them. When I tell you that you'd be better off in America as an illegal, it's not me with hyperbole. It's not me just trying to make, I'm not trying to make something up to make this show more interesting. It is a fact. You'd be better off as an illegal in this country. So let's just analyze it. 2 years of free rent. You get a SNAP card, so your food is paid for. These Venezuelan gangs had motorcycles, for goodness sake. Where'd they get them? Probably some rich fat cat leftist said, hey, I tell you what, go up to the Kawasaki dealership and go get you some, or no, they bought them Harleys, right? Because Harley's now the new woke company. This is the level of crazy that we've gotten to. And Kamala Harris's campaign is a campaign of joy. She's bringing joy all over. Woo-hoo, y'all. Are we having fun yet?
But in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved, if you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that
bill. That's a crazy woman who's being supported by a crazy party. Look, I don't care about Democrat, Republican, whatever you want to call yourself, but if you're willing to accept that as your candidate, shame on you.
Putting an end to identity politics.
And now for something completely different.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.